take projection.
Well, welcome everybody to Taking on Sports. I am TD. That is Greg. Greg, how those brackets looking, bruh?
Oh man, they're pretty bad. But still got my Final Four intact, so I guess that's most important.
Hey, man, that's
Most
really what wins you the challenges, man. Is
right.
having that Elite Eight and Final Four. As long as you can get out the first weekend with like
Yeah,
most of your Elite Eight and all your Final Four, then
yeah,
that's where you get the big points later on.
right. Yeah, I
I
think a lot of people got hit with that St. John's. That
yeah. I'm currently, I
was a
think,
big deal.
yeah, I'm like fifth in our group, and I'm like above average. My bracket, I think I'm a little above
Yeah,
average. I
yeah.
man,
My
I forgot how bad I did last year. I looked back at last year's, and I was like, ooh, damn, I was real bad. It was
yeah.
not a good year for me last year. But
Mhm.
we were talking right before we started recording, and we both kind of picked the wrong upsets this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's get to our boys in Crimson. Alabama booked a third straight trip to the Sweet
Third
16 for
straight.
surprisingly the first time in school history we've done that.
Yeah.
I would have thought for sure during that Wimp Sanderson
I
80s
thought
run
he
that we
must have
did it.
did two, I guess. But yeah.
I went back and looked, and we did it 4 out of 5 years at one point. But yeah, it was like
Mhm.
two first or second round loss, and then
And then
two
split.
Sweet 16s
Yeah.
again. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of shocked by that, but that's an amazing thing to think about. That we've done that 3 in a row, 4 out of 5. I mean, we're
Yeah.
getting pretty consistent in Tuscaloosa.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really a testament to the program that Nate Oates has
Right.
built there, he's taken this
Absolutely.
program to a level it really we've always felt it should be at a
Should
school
be
and
at.
an athletic program
Yeah.
with the resources Alabama has. There's no reason they shouldn't
Yeah.
be a better, more consistently
Absolutely.
good
Right.
team in basketball, in a sport like basketball.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so we did it with, of course, Friday had the win over Robert Morris. Robert Morris, they,
Gave us a game.
they gave us a game. Sometimes, we can play down to our competition, but man,
Mhm.
I think they deserve better than a 15 seed.
Yeah, I think they're pretty talented. I
That
think
yeah,
if they were a bigger name, they probably would have been higher.
yeah,
They
for sure. Yeah, a
definitely
slightly bigger
played a
conference. Yeah,
they played a good game. I mean, they gave us all we wanted. I mean, honestly, I would say that was probably a tougher game than what we had in the 32.
yeah,
Much
it
tougher.
definitely felt a little more tense at times, and it was a testament to what Grant Nelson means to the team because.
Absolutely.
They had their moments in the first half, but we had a decent lead at halftime. At
Mhm.
least one where you felt like, okay, we come out, we make a little run, we'll put this game away,
Yeah.
and we'll kind of
Yeah.
cruise to the end. And Robert Morris made
Right.
their little run, actually took the lead at one
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. I was like,
and
oh my God.
and then we kind of,
There we go.
they did it without, Big Cliff and Mo D, they did it with them on the bench, and then Grant Nelson stood
Mhm.
up and said, "Coach, put me in." And
Yeah. He was
he
kind of
had
the closer in a way.
he was, yeah, he made some big plays down the stretch, hit a couple of big shots, and really kind of gave the team a new energy. And
Absolutely.
they were able to immediately take the lead back and close the game out and get to the second
Absolutely.
round. Where today, just a
Hmm.
few hours ago, finished up a pretty comfortable win over St. Mary's.
It was.
It
It
was
was.
a tough game. Both teams tried to impose their styles. St. Mary's
Right.
definitely made it. They made the night on the boards just a fight. It
Yeah.
was
Very physical team.
a lot of guys on the floor. If you wanted a rebound, you had to earn it tonight.
Yeah. You had to earn it for sure.
And
And,
they made their
you know,
little run in the second half too, but the closest they got was 9.
he's
And
like,
I even said it on our social medias and the Taking on Sports, but I said in the first half, around the halftime, a little before, probably halfway through the first half, I said this game feels like if Alabama can make a run and get a double-digit lead, then they can kind of keep St. Mary's at arm's length, and that's exactly
yeah.
what happened. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, just our shots are
Luckily, St.
falling. You know,
Mary's couldn't hit a hit any. They were terrible from the field.
yeah, they
With
did not hit a 3-pointer
God
until
awful.
like what 5 minutes ago in the
Yeah,
game. Their
they were.
best players had a bad night
Yeah,
offensively, and credit our defense for that. We played good, tough
yeah.
defense. We're all over them,
Very
and
physical, very into it. Like there was no lapse really.
no, um,
And
mm,
man, but I love what we're doing with Big Cliff with those lobs. I mean,
oh
he's pretty
yeah,
money at that. He
yeah,
has been money.
he is exactly how we said it last year, and if we had had a big, and we said it you know, during the offseason after he committed in the transfer portal, that he's exactly what the team last year was missing, that big
Oh, absolutely.
presence
Physical
inside. But
guy.
yeah, we were more talking on the defensive side of things.
Defense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
rim stopper, shot blocker. But he has
Hmm.
become a really important piece. Yeah, like you said, on those lobs, those pick and rolls, he rolls to the basket,
Yeah.
gets those lobs.
Yeah.
He grabs a lot of
I'm pretty
important offensive
consistent.
rebounds. Yeah, and he has really kind of stepped his game up here in March as well.
It really has.
But
He
yeah,
definitely
overall,
has. Um, yeah, today was, I mean, almost as good as you can expect. I mean, you could nitpick. I mean, probably will too many turnovers again.
for sure.
And then the other thing, it's weird. We just not don't consistently knock down free throws.
It is the most frustrating thing. I just, I mean,
We have way too many one or two trips or over two trips at the line. Like,
yeah, when you get, especially as you
um,
get into these tighter games against better competition, it's gonna.
it's
It's
gonna
just
be a
one thing
point
to
where that's
me.
gonna have to drop.
Yeah, I have always thought it has always been a thing for me that it's inexcusable that anybody, I don't care who you're on the court, it's not a jump shot, So if you're a big guy, you're not. It's always just blows my mind when people can't. Like in my mind, I know it's unrealistic. In my mind, every damn player, if you're a good enough basketball player,
Hmm.
you should be 90% from the free throw line.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. It's one of the weird frustrations of our team. We just go randomly cold from the line, and we're a good three or free throw shooting team in general. But
Yeah. We just have those stretches, and as much as we drive and get those type of calls, I mean, we consistently need to make it to make that effective. Because
yeah, especially the,
a trip with no points is not helpful, especially when you get into the line in
no,
order to get
yeah,
those points.
especially when they come in situations where you're on the cusp of maybe putting the team away,
Yeah.
or
Right.
giving yourself a little cushion, in a game when
Exactly.
if it's a 1-2 possession game, and
Exactly.
we miss these 1-and-1s, or we get two shots, we like you said, we miss them both, or only hit one, and it's
Yeah.
yeah, it is a frustrating thing. But like you said, yeah, a couple of nitpicks, that the turnovers, as which has been a theme this year, but
That's been the theme all year.
yeah, as
But
a testament to how well they played and shot the ball, and defensively, outside of the turnovers, at one point we had like 10 turnovers, I think, and before St. Mary's
yeah.
even got their first one, and
Right.
we still had those leads, so
Yeah.
we
So I
were
mean,
able to mask that at least.
exactly. Some of it, yeah, a lot of it was our defense. I mean, we put them in a lot of tough situations. And the other good thing that we did is we did not let them control necessarily the pace of the game. We sped them up as much as we could because I mean they would love to have a where they hold the ball for 20, all to the 2 seconds left on the shot clock. And we made, and that's, and they would have loved to have us more in a half court offensive set. We able to get out of that because that's not our strength at all, and that was what would have kept them close. If, but we played our game and forced them more into our game, which was very helpful there. But
Yeah, no, for sure. That was absolutely a good job by the players and the coaching staff. I'm sure for whatever strategy they had to make that happen. But
yeah, because we've had
yeah,
those games that we kind of fall into that trap. In that Sweet 16, like against San Diego State, we knew what they were going to do, and unfortunately, we fell into that. And but we didn't fall for that tonight, and that was huge. We forced them into a lot of bad situations, and now we're being man that game against BYU. It's gonna be a high. I would think a
Yeah, it's
high
going to be
scoring game.
a fun
Uh,
game. They got a coach out there that runs the NBA style offense as
yeah.
well, and
All right.
yeah, that should be a very fun one, and definitely going to be a tough one. BYU is not a team to overlook.
No, they're definitely a good team
Yeah,
as they showed there. I mean, getting a big win over a good Wisconsin team. So I mean, that was a tough. I got- definitely one of the better games of yesterday for sure. There wasn't a lot of close
absolutely.
ones yesterday.
Yeah, one of the better games of the weekend. Kind
Yeah.
of as we move, looking at the whole thing. Is there any more points you want to make on Alabama before we move on? At least to recap.
No, I
Okay.
think we're just we're peaking at the right time, going to the Sweet 16 about as good a shape as you could hope. Solid win today, no drama. Then hey, we're where we need to be at this time of the year. So I'm happy. I'm proud of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we said, it's the baseline expectation now that we make the second weekend.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're a 2 seed, you got to make the second weekend.
Mm.
And yeah, we played like you said. Even the little nitpicky things that we had,
Mhm.
we masked them up by how well we were playing in other areas, and that's
Absolutely.
that's really what you asked for. It's hard to play
Mm-hmm.
a perfect game.
And then,
And look at kind of early on. Mark Sears was started out
yeah,
cold. He wasn't.
he didn't have a great game at all. I think he's
I
like two
know.
and ten.
He turned it on kind of late though. He had a
Yeah.
little sequence where he made a few buckets in a row there, and
Right.
but the other guys stepped up. Grant Nelson had a good
Oh,
game.
absolutely.
Did he get a double
Mo
double? Did he
Diab-
end up with a?
Oh, that
I can't remember. He was close. He was at 8 and 8 at one
I know
point, but
Cliff had a double double. Mo
yeah,
Diabate had some big, huge
yeah,
buckets, and even hit that three. Like,
yeah. Mo D
yeah,
was his perfect self. Like he has played
yeah.
the absolute game that he has to play when that you need from him. That kind of
I
glue
think he
guy,
might be
that
the
engine.
most, maybe the most important guy out there because
Yeah,
you kind of get in a way, because I think you get a sense of how the team's going to go based on his energy. If he's from the get go, if he's hustling, grabbing the boards, getting some buckets, it's gonna be a good day. I think he
absolutely.
kind of gives us a pulse of what we're gonna look like that day, more or
Yeah,
less.
absolutely. Yeah, and he's that guy that provides that spark and that kind of.
Mhm.
He's the engine almost.
Yeah, people
Mark
feed off him.
Mark Sears might be the driver. He drives that team, but
Right.
yeah, Modi is the engine for sure. But yeah, let's talk about the rest of the weekend. You kind of touched on it there, but not the most exciting first weekend we've ever had.
No,
It definitely got better today. A couple, saw a buzzer beater earlier. Maryland, they're moving to
no,
their
that was
first Sweet
awesome,
16 in almost 9 years.
amazing game.
Yeah, a good comeback for them. Colorado State was controlling
Yeah,
that for good stretches, and
yeah,
the Terps able to come back, get close. Colorado State hit a late shot to go up with what three point
huge three
two
point.
seconds. Yeah,
Yeah, go
and
up two
not yeah,
or
good
one.
play, a deep 3-pointer, and man, it's just as smooth as you could be too. That barely touched the net. It was so good.
Man, beautiful,
And then
beautiful
Maryland,
kick out. Yeah,
good court vision too. That was a cross court pass and
yeah,
to a
perfect.
wide open guy. And then about 3.2 seconds left on the clock. Maryland had it. They get it to their sensational freshman Queen, and he just takes it, muscles his way to the rim, and puts up a
Man
good
travel,
shot.
but
Woo, yeah, well, what's a travel in today's
eh,
game?
all right. But just
But
amazing, just an awesome finish. It was really the only one of the about three games that really had a feel of March Madness.
yeah,
It-
as we sit and talk right now, Iowa State trying to make things interesting against Ole Miss,
all right,
as they
got it
pull
to
within
10.
10, with about 120 left.
Well, a minute left. Yeah, so we still got.
It's
Eh,
close. Hey, they don't need to be big, but yeah, no. In general, yeah, not a lot of
Not a lot of drama. I
Yeah,
mean, we
not,
got a couple of our 12-5 upsets.
yeah. Colorado State over Memphis. We had what Drake over Missouri
McNeese
in 11
and
6.
McNeese stayed over Clemson, and that
Clemson.
was kind of shocking because I thought that Clemson team was really good.
Me too. I think I had them in my Sweet 16, losing to
Yeah,
Houston.
I,
I
yeah,
thought they maybe were even better than last year's team.
I thought they were. I really
Yeah,
did. I mean,
and
I
McNeese.
was drinking the Kool Aid.
Yeah, and McNeese for a large stretch that they were kicking their ass for a while there.
Absolutely.
It
I
was a
mean, what did
great by Clemson to
Clemson
even
have
make
like
it a game.
19 at halftime? It
Yeah,
was bad.
it was not a close game, and Clemson fought
No.
back, and 2 point McNeese win in the end. But elsewhere, not a lot of like I said, not a lot of big seed upsets. I think all we got were the two we just mentioned, and then a couple 10
Yeah.
sevens. We
Right.
got
I got
New,
the New Mexico beat Marquette.
yeah, and
Um,
Arkansas handed Kent.
well, yeah, Arkansas, Kansas.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if that. I mean, I really didn't see that as an upset just because this is probably the worst Kansas team I may have ever seen.
it's for the first time they've missed the second weekend in what, like 20 years, something ridiculous like that. So
But
yeah,
they,
it's
yeah, but this Kansas team was far from any Kansas team I've seen most of my life. Like they were pretty average. And as a team to start off number one, and just to just to lose, first game of the tournament. I can't think of a time when Kansas lost in the 64.
no,
Well,
yeah,
Bucknell in
it's
like '06, but other than that,
yeah. Honestly, I think that's the last time that they did not make the second weekend.
no.
It's crazy, a testament to what Bill Self has done there.
Yeah.
But
Right, but amazing win. I mean, in Arkansas, they're a team that's been so up and down. Like you don't know what to expect, but I mean, they put it on this weekend. I mean, to beat Kansas is one thing, but then to beat a, very good St. John's team, and it really wasn't any question. I mean, at no point did it seem like St. John's was going to make a comeback there.
no,
Arkansas
yeah, yeah, they
controlled
very
the game.
controlled that
St.
game.
John's couldn't hit a bucket.
And that was, if you followed St. John's, that was the worry about them coming in the tournament. Great, probably best defensive team in the country, but
Not a
also
great shooting
not a
team.
good offensive team at all. And
I
it
mean, they
definitely hurt them
showed
this weekend. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was a big win for the Hogs, though.
Yeah, big win for the Hogs. And one of, once Ole Miss makes it official here, 7 SEC teams to make the Sweet 16.
Boom.
So half of the bids, the record bids, of course, SEC haters all weekend. Every single
Every time the
loss.
SEC, oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh, best league
and,
ever.
and
Yeah.
and a lot of the losses. I mean, honestly, I had like Drake beating Missouri. I
Me
wasn't shocked
too.
by that at
Yeah.
all.
It
Drake's a
was.
good team.
Yeah.
Nothing against Mizzou, but Drake's a good team.
Yeah.
I mean,
Technically an upset, but I think one of the most predicted upsets out there. Kind of one of the
right.
not
I
expected because it's an
mean,
upset, but one of the ones that people circled a lot. But like, hey, this could probably happen.
right. And then Texas A&M lost to a good Michigan team in the 32. I mean, it's not a terrible loss. It's a pretty good game.
No, yeah. If you go through them, you got obviously Auburn. They had their moments in both games actually with Alabama
Right.
State. Surprisingly, Alabama State had a shot in the first half, late in the first half, to take the lead, and then Auburn
Yeah.
did what they do, which is where they just
Yeah.
literally like an 8-0 run in 30
Yeah.
seconds. It seemed like,
Yeah.
and
When
then
they're on, like they blink of an eye, it's over.
yeah, and then Creighton, kind of had them up against the
Yeah,
ropes for a little bit,
they
and
did. Yeah.
they pulled away
They shut
there.
it down the last 6, 7 minutes. They really shut it off.
Yeah, then you mentioned A&M. They took care of business against Yale and lost to a good Michigan team. It's a Big Ten champ, so
So
no
it's not. I mean,
no
they were
shame
in that
there.
game.
Yeah, no,
No
yeah,
shame there. I mean, you who are the losers? I mean, Mississippi State had a pretty good game. Came up
yeah,
short against
a
in the eight
solid
nine
Baylor
matchup.
team. Yeah,
I mean, they lost to Baylor. No. No, really, no, not as shocking or anything like that. I'd say. I mean,
no,
Texas lost to Xavier. I mean, it was 2-11 seeds. I mean, neither team very great. So
Yeah. So
I mean, it fell apart at the end. But I mean,
yeah,
nothing. It wasn't any like terrible losses for the SEC, I would say.
Texas in
But
fact moved on from their coach today too.
they did, they
Rumors
did.
are that they were, I don't know if it's official yet, but they will be
It's
going
official.
after. It is official. They hired
Yeah,
what's his
Sean
face?
Miller,
That's it. Yeah,
the
Sean
coach that
Miller
beat him.
from the coach that beat him from coach that put him out. They
We
went
can't
and
beat him.
said
Bring
we'll
him
go him.
in.
But yeah, elsewhere Vanderbilt lost the game, and on paper, losing to St. Mary's isn't a bad thing, and they were the 10 and St. Mary's the 7, so it's expected.
Seven, so I
But
mean,
the way they did it, a 12-point second half lead they blew, so not great there.
yeah, no, but I mean,
But no,
and I
again,
wouldn't really.
yeah,
None of the losses would shock me. I
no,
mean,
yeah,
it wasn't like top. None of the big dogs lost.
no, yeah.
I
Oklahoma
mean,
losing to UConn, that's not a shocker. Georgia losing to Gonzaga, not a shocker. Maybe the way it
how they
happened,
lost, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were
Gonzaga beat
never
the
in
hell
that
out of
game at
them. Yeah,
all. Yeah,
but like we said, that's it outside of Missouri. And
yeah,
then so you got Tennessee, Kentucky. They'll face off actually in the Sweet 16.
man.
You got Arkansas will play Texas Tech. Florida will play Maryland. Of
That was
course,
a game. Them and UConn. Phew.
that was, yeah. UConn gave the Gators everything they could ask for and more, and nearly knocked
Yeah,
out what a lot of people have as their champ.
that would have killed about
Yeah, that would have been
20 million brackets.
a huge bracket buster right there. Yeah. Of course, we mentioned our Tide will play BYU, and then Ole Miss will play the winner of Michigan State and New Mexico. Um,
I mean, that's a big win for Ole Miss. I mean, Iowa State's a good team. Yeah, they got a player hurt, but they got dominated. Ole Miss whooped their ass.
yeah,
Like
that
that's
Ole
impressive.
Miss
Like
controlled
that's
that
a
game from pretty much
after
the
they
jump. They
yeah
took a lead in the late in the first half and kind of
dominant. They went on like a 20-0 run and that was it. Like they
yeah.
just completely dominant. Iowa State couldn't get into the game, and man, this is Chris Beard is a heck of a coach. I mean, you look at his track record. I mean, he took Tech to the national title game. I mean, he had Texas going the right way. I mean, of course, that whole situation a weird one. I mean, obviously they couldn't keep him based upon the original reports. Since then, everything got rescinded. So who knows what was real and what's not real per se. But got a second chance there with Ole Miss, and man, he might make them a consistent team. Now we've seen Ole Miss have okay teams. The Kennedy years were decent, but I mean,
Yeah.
we might see some consistency that we've never really seen out of Oxford with Chris Beard at the helm.
Yeah, and like we said, they're waiting the winner of this Michigan State New Mexico game, which is a pretty good one.
This is a good one. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
Michigan State.
Lobos are a tough team.
Yeah, has a lead again. Lobos had it for a little
Yeah,
while.
right.
If you're old like us, you remember a time when the Lobos made a Final Four run, didn't they?
I don't know. It was cool. I think it was an 8, but yeah,
Is it?
I
Is it
mean,
the eight? Yeah.
yeah, they've had some great teams, and probably one of the most underrated home atmospheres of all time. Going into
Is
the
that
pit
where?
in Albuquerque.
Yeah, is that where Keith Van Horn went, or he go to Utah?
No, he went to Utah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, they went to that title game in '98. Lost
That
to Kentucky.
that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, when they lost to Kentucky. But yeah, no, New Mexico, the Lobos. Yeah, like you mentioned, the Pit is one of the better atmospheres in the college game, and they've had a solid program for a while.
Yeah.
And they kind of I think had some down years, but they're back now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
they're a very
Richard
solid
Pitino
mid-major
Jr.
team.
has he's done a good job putting them back on the map for sure.
Yeah.
See what they do, and then of course the other one we have this Arizona, Oregon. Neither one part of the Pac-12 anymore, which is still weird at times, but
Yeah.
we know that they know each other well. So
Yeah, Arizona up 4 late in the first half there. That's another
they
good
got a
one
lot
too.
of
That
games.
could be
Yeah,
a good finish here for the nightcap.
absolutely.
Yeah, elsewhere there, everybody. Duke made its run to the Sweet 16 fairly
Pretty,
easily.
pretty, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty easy. No competition there.
Yeah,
Baylor gave him a good 15 minutes, and then Duke really closed out the first half, and that was it.
yeah, and then Cruz in the second half. Yeah, they really
Yeah,
did what number one seed should do.
yeah.
Houston, under number one seed, took care of business first round. Gonzaga gave him a good
Game a
game.
game. They
Gave him a
did.
really good game, and Houston pulled
Exactly.
away in the last minute. It was
Yeah.
down to the last couple of
It
possessions.
was. It was
Um,
definitely a close one, and impressive run by the Zags. I think I broke a 9-year streak of Sweet 16 or better. So,
yeah, it does. That and that record, that longest streak now belongs to Houston. In fact, this is their sixth
mm,
straight Sweet 16, I believe.
man, that's all. Yeah,
But yeah, a testament to what Kelvin Sampson's done there. Speaking of good coaches,
absolutely.
and Houston, we mentioned it. Kind of, their thing. They've been like St. John's the past few years. They've had a great defense, but their offense could be
Uh-huh.
suspect at times. But they've got the offense this year.
They do have the offense, and they're healthy, and
Yeah,
that's probably kept them at the Final Four last year. They weren't healthy.
yeah.
Um,
I know they are.
Jamal Shea got hurt last year, and that kind of hurt him. But
Yeah, I know they're my champion in the bracket challenge. I think I'm actually the only one that picked them too, so that would be
yeah, so
my
that could
way.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And of
I
course,
got him in a national title game against Florida, but I had Florida prevailing. So.
I actually think I had it the flip. I had same title game, but Houston won it. But
My
yeah,
bracket's been so cold, I don't think it matters.
then of course Florida. We mentioned they found themselves in a dog fight with the Huskies.
Oh
No
man.
pun intended, but they
Hmm.
pulled it out at the end there.
Yeah, yeah.
Send the two-time defending champs home. So the king is officially dead. There
Yeah.
will be a new champ this year.
Sure.
So yeah, looking at our Sweet 16 matchups, you got Auburn, Michigan. Should be a fun one.
Yeah.
You got Ole Miss. We mentioned against the winner of this Michigan State New Mexico game.
That's
Duke will
very,
play the
yeah.
winner of that Oregon Arizona game.
That should be a good one.
Yeah, we mentioned Alabama, BYU.
Yeah.
Florida will go on no play Maryland coming off that buzzer beater.
Mm. That'd
Terps, I
be
think I mentioned,
interesting.
yeah, first Sweet 16 for them in almost 10 years. Getting back to a place where they feel they belong.
Yeah.
I
Because it's
know,
kind of weird. They were down for a while. I mean,
yeah, and it's one of those things, man. I know that financially the move to the Big Ten makes sense for them, but that
right.
team, from a competitive standpoint for their sports, leaving the ACC was the dumbest thing they've ever done.
Yeah.
They have no shot at building, a winner there in football because
No.
they're just not going to get over the big schools there. But could you imagine, some of these teams they've had, in the past, since they moved to Big Ten, they'd be,
Yeah.
challenging for ACC titles.
Yeah. I mean, because really, what's his name is put recently. Yeah. I mean, they've had some good seasons. I mean, with Tagovailoa, I mean, they had some good years.
Yeah,
I mean, they win. I mean, they go what 8-4, 7-5 in the Big Ten, and that might be 9-3, 10-2 in the ACC. Honestly,
exactly. Yeah, and then basketball, they just haven't really. That's the one where you thought they could come in and still be,
yeah.
consistently top program in the conference, and
They've
they
had some
just,
okay teams. I mean, Turgeon had some good. They had
yeah,
some decent teams, just not elite level. But they seem to be headed in the right direction.
yeah, they finally seem, like I said, that's a proud program there. Of course, former
Yeah,
national title winning program under Gary Williams.
yeah. That
We
might
didn't.
be a very under a coach that maybe not get enough
Mm-hmm.
national recognition because he had quite a consistent program. I mean, elite level,
Mm-hmm.
top of the ACC when the ACC was king of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And just always a national contender. I mean, great recruiting. So maybe a very underrated coach.
They,
Turgeon after him had big shoes to fill. He did okay, but I mean, I don't think it was to the level that Maryland expected. And now I can't think of the guy's name. Now I came from what
Kevin Willard.
Kevin Willard came from the Big East. Can't think where it was at. Was it Seton Hall?
He
I think it may have been Seton Hall.
was. I think you're
He
right.
was
Yeah,
the
I
Seton
can't.
Hall. And
He
he made them decent, but he seems to have the Terps
yeah,
going in the right direction. So,
Seton Hall. You're
you
right.
know,
Yeah, no, yeah. This is a team that like I said, under Gary Williams, he was one of those guys that was both, yeah, probably underappreciated, but also kind of didn't do as much as he should have. After winning that national title,
yeah,
in particular, they only
yeah,
made one other Sweet 16 in the rest of his
mm.
almost 10 years after the title. He was still there, and
But
there
they
was a
had
long
some
list
great
of area.
talent.
Oh, they did, but there's also a long list of talent from that area that he wasn't able to get after that title, which was always
Mm.
weird to me. That I
Yeah,
thought winning that title, they'd really
but if
step up.
that took them to a
Yeah,
different level, yeah,
yeah, because it was their, at the time it was their second straight Final Four.
yeah,
They had been in the tournament. They made it so many straight years under Williams, and they were
right,
always, for a while then in the ACC, it was them and Duke as the top two programs.
right. They kind of passed Carolina for a little bit.
They did, absolutely. And then, but yeah, no, you're still overall underrated coach. Probably underappreciated is probably the better term.
Yeah,
But yeah, since moving to the Big Ten, this is only the second time they've made the second weekend now, and
yeah.
uh,
Because
you
we
know,
played them twice in the 32. I know we beat them
yeah, beat them in
two times against the Sweet 16.
what?
Beat them in 23 and 21, I believe,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, beat them
and
with
32.
the Brandon Miller year, and then beat them in that
Mhm.
first tournament under Nate Oates. But
Yeah,
yeah, so yeah, that could be tough, a tough out for Florida.
absolutely.
Texas Tech and Arkansas, another game we mentioned that should be a fun one. And then a big one, Kentucky Tennessee, that'll be heated, I'm sure, as a Sweet 16 game. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I
Houston
mean, they don't.
Purdue, Houston Purdue's the other one. That kind of looks like the least appealing game to me, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, uh, honestly, anytime Purdue's involved, it's the least appealing. I don't know, it's just something about them that,
But even so, this
but
year,
they,
no Zach Edey. They're just not a spectacular team this year like last year.
no, but they're winning.
Yeah, I'm saying they've handled their
It's
business.
fixed.
Two
Yeah,
double-digit wins over High Point and then McNeese. So
yeah.
you never know. But yeah, let's see. Is there anything from the first weekend that's kind of like changed your mind on like who might win, some favorites, or have you seen something from someone you
It
thought would be
seems.
better? Yeah. No.
No, I mean it's still. I mean the big dogs are still all there. It seems to be a much more top heavy tournament this year. I mean, as we've seen the lack of upsets, and some of that is the bigger schools are getting the mid range guys from the transfer portal. That seems to have really changed the game as far as like, guys leaving the MAC or, other smaller conferences moving up to the big dog leagues, Power Four, and really seems to have it where the top heavy teams are really that much better. There's not nearly as many upsets. And some of the little teams didn't look nearly as competitive as what they've been the last decade, I would say. But I guess that was the most surprising thing from the first weekend. It just it wasn't nearly as, I guess, turbulent. It wasn't as many surprises. I mean, it was kind of as far as that. But I think that'll really turn up now that we're into that second weekend. We kind of got, a lot of. Do we have all? We possibly could have like all power conference teams, I believe.
I think so. Let's look here.
I mean,
BYU is
unless
a
New
Big 12
Mexico,
team, so yeah,
yeah.
that's yeah.
Other than like if New Mexico beats Michigan State, I mean, we have all power teams in the Sweet 16. That hadn't
Yeah,
happened for a while.
New Mexico is they're the holdout for the mid majors representing the Mountain
Yeah.
West. So yeah, so it should be Yeah, like sometimes people, of course, what people everyone loves is the upsets first weekend, but when the games get
Right.
really good is
Everybody
when you do
complains
get to the
about.
high seeds and the
Yeah.
chalk. Yeah.
Yeah.
So next weekend, could be a really could make up for the lack of overall good
Dramas.
games this year. Drama, yeah,
Right.
we could have some really close, hard fought
I
games
would
next
say
weekend.
so. Absolutely. Games that you don't know could go either way. I mean, a lot of toss up games, and man, it should be some great basketball in that second weekend.
It should. Let's see. Let's move to the women's side of the game. Of course, they start a day late, so they are still. Today is just the round of 32 has started. But
Right.
as usual, there are nothing too major, no big upsets.
No, and
It's
some of them first round games were ridiculous.
yeah. But yeah, so but some good games still, and we got some good basketball coming up. But
Oh, absolutely.
there were
I
some
mean,
Kentucky, barely got out of alive against Liberty in their first round matchup, and then they lost in overtime today to Kansas
yeah,
State.
that was a crazy game.
Yeah,
South Carolina got a much tougher game than a lot of people thought they would.
yeah, they did against Indiana today. You talking? Yeah,
Yeah.
they did. Our Tide
Ole Miss.
ladies took care of business
Oh
against Green Bay.
man, I was tight for a while, but really the last 5 or so minutes really took over the game there.
Yeah,
Leah and I had some huge threes to close that one out. That
yeah.
was
And then
what we
speaking of
needed.
Maryland, we will. That's who the ladies will play
Lady Terps
tomorrow at
tomorrow,
4 o'clock. Yeah.
four
You
o'clock.
about to say something about Ole Miss?
Yeah, Ole Miss had a close game there, but a good win for them beating Baylor in Waco. I mean that was good. Tennessee pulled away, but the Buckeyes gave them a game there. But of course, the SEC overall very strong in the women's game, as we know there. But
Yeah. Right now, Richmond, 8 seed Richmond, given overall 1 seed UCLA a game.
UCLA,
Yeah, it's a
I
tight
mean,
one, 4 point
second
game.
quarter only up four. Yeah,
Yeah. So, but yeah, there were definitely some blowouts. As is usual, it's a very chalk heavy tournament.
yeah,
On the women's side of things, of course, most ridiculous might have been USC holding their opponent to just
so
25 points.
yeah,
But yeah, we're lining up, and but that creates some really good things in the women's game. Like if you look at that regional four, the USC region, if you get chalk there, that means you get Juju and Paige in the Elite Eight, and that's
Mm,
I think that's what you want to
phenomenal.
see. Yeah, that's a phenomenal matchup. And got
Oh,
right now teams that have punched their ticket to the Sweet 16 already: South Carolina, Ole Miss, Duke, Tennessee, Kansas State,
Tennessee.
Notre Dame,
Oh.
and TCU.
TCU had a huge, pretty big win there against
Louisville.
Louisville there.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, but tomorrow in the women's game, I mean, full slate there. Starting early in the day,
Yeah, got
11 in the morning.
NC
NC
State
State,
and
Michigan
Michigan
State,
State.
Texas, Illinois. A game like Oklahoma, Iowa might be a good game. Of course, hopefully we could. Man, it'd be huge if we could beat Maryland at their in College Park. It's gonna be tough. Maryland's a good team, but man, that'd be huge to get us to the second weekend there.
Absolutely. Yeah, we mentioned it. That's
It's our next step in the run.
on the women's
And the
program.
and the thing of things, Florida State, LSU could be decent. Yeah, I think UConn will probably smash South Dakota State. Got the slight upset in the first round there. Mississippi State got the 8-9 win, but yeah, at USC, that's gonna be tough.
No, yeah. Yeah, you mentioned the Tide. We mentioned that step. It would be the first time the Tide ladies have made the second weekend since 1998.
That was when they went to the Final Four.
No, Sweet 16 that year.
Sweet
They
16.
made the
Okay.
Final Four in '94,
Okay.
and that was actually the
Is that
first
not?
of one, two, three, four, five straight second weekend trips at least.
They were at the end of, I know mid and the late 90s, the Thai women were pretty consistent.
Yeah,
Fell on some hard times and hopefully seem to be back where they're at least in the competitive level where see if we can punch our ticket to that second weekend.
yeah, absolutely. Christy Curry's done a great job. She's been there 10 seasons now. I
Well,
believe this is her 11th,
yeah,
maybe even 12th. But she's really took over. That team was in the wilderness when she took
it
over.
was.
They
It
hadn't
was.
they hadn't made a tournament in about 15 years when she took the
Yeah.
helms. It took her a while,
Took a while.
a few NIT appearances first, and they didn't make the tournament till her like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, her eighth or ninth season.
Yeah.
But they've now made four of the last five.
Hmm.
Gotten a win, at least one win in three of those. Like we said, the next step is getting that second win, getting another second weekend.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, let's see. Anything else on the women's side you want to talk about?
No, I think we're, getting, it's been some okay games, but yeah, I mean, it'll really start picking up in that second weekend. You get them
Yeah,
big heavyweight matchups that even not even the biggest women's fans, started to really pay attention to. So,
yeah. Yeah, let's see. Elsewhere, Alabama sports. Down weekend for both baseball and softball.
man, got that
Base.
win Thursday. Man, I was hoping, man, can we get that series? But no,
Yeah, yeah. Of course,
we,
he's talking about Alabama baseball. Number one Tennessee in
yeah,
town took the series opener, but couldn't get that second win to take the series.
didn't get that second win. We came, man, made a nice little comeback on Friday night, and then Saturday was ugly. We didn't really.
Yeah,
We got
no.
dominated Saturday, but I guess we're good. Still going in the right direction. Would have loved that would have been huge to have gotten that win, but not one you really expected. So I mean, but it was exciting that we at least got one win, and it was the first game of the weekend, which is something we normally don't do against the better teams. We
Yeah,
usually lose the first two, maybe catch a Sunday. So I was excited, man. I was hoping, man, cause we could got two straight SEC wins, but hey, man, we'll see what we do this coming up week.
yeah. And then of course softball dropped their series, dropped 2 of 3 to Texas A&M, unfortunately. So
Yeah,
a
the
rough start
Aggies
to
are
SEC
those
play
ladies,
starts for them. Yeah.
right? But the Aggies are a good team there. But yeah, we shall see if we can. I think the main thing that they don't have is they don't have an ace. There's no ace. And that's a big difference. We don't have any consistent pitcher that can go out there and just give us a boatload of innings.
Yeah, no, there's no Montana Fouts taking
No,
a bump this
no,
year.
not at all.
I can see next weekend coming up. If it loads for me, see the Tide. Softball will take on Georgia next weekend.
Yikes.
Yeah, in Tuscaloosa again. And the boys. Well, yeah, why are you being slow all of a sudden there? They will take on. Nope, skipped it. Oklahoma in Tuscaloosa. They'll be back in Tuscaloosa Friday,
Okay.
Saturday, Sunday series against the Sooners. Let's see. Yeah, I guess moving on here. NBA side of things, kind of, it's that lull period for the NBA right now. Post All
Mhm.
Star, everybody's eyes are on the college game for March.
Right. Yeah.
Some players kind of start resting. There is sort of a playoff push for certain teams, but a lot of that's kind of already decided right now.
Kind of
So
decided, yeah.
yeah, not a lot of big news. It's kind of more just monitoring injuries. Steph Curry,
Right. Getting
had a
folks
little
healthy.
yeah had a little knock, and he looks like he'll be rejoining the team soon. Looks like Anthony Davis is nearing a return. Jalen Brunson's still out
Mhm.
for at least a week.
Mhm.
But yeah, nothing really noteworthy this week that I can think of in the NBA game. I guess the Celtics were sold the most expensive franchise in U.S. sports history now.
$1 billion.
Yeah, uh, yeah, absolutely
When he
crazy.
bought it for like 300 million.
Yeah,
That's quite the turnaround. I mean,
yeah,
quite the
that's quite a profit right there. Yeah,
profit. I don't know why you would ever sell the Celtics if you have them, but I mean, I guess that would be the reason why.
I was about to say, I think you answered your question right there.
But I mean, it's just one of those franchises. Like I don't know. I would, I don't know. Might regret it down the. I don't know. You would think maybe keep it in the family or something. Jeez, it's such a big name. But yeah, quite the profit. I mean, they've done a lot. They've gotten back to for a while the Celtics were not that great. And um, but they really turned back into the franchise that they were in the '80s. Just consistent winner there. So
Yeah. And then, of course, NFL free agency, off-season stuff. Still not a lot of big stuff this year, I guess. Looks like Cam Robinson is going to Houston.
hmm
No, that happened earlier.
Jameis Winston to the Giants.
Yeah, yeah, Jameis to the Giants. That was
I don't know what that really means. I don't know if that means he's the guy. I don't
or
know.
yeah, or maybe maybe they don't like a quarterback that high. Maybe they'll pick a project and he'll be kind of the
Yeah.
veteran starter or something. Who knows? For sure, one of the
But you'd
most
have to
liked
think
guys in the NFL. All his teammates seem to
all the
love him.
mics in New York, that's gonna be epic.
Oh yeah, uh, yeah.
Oh
There
man.
could be some crazy stories coming out.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
and then let's see what else happened. Looks like
Saints
yeah,
brought Brandon Cooks back.
yeah. Saints brought Brandon Cooks back. The
Aaron Rodgers visit the
Vikings.
Steelers. We'll
Yeah,
see
he's
what
the.
that does.
Hey, I'll take his broken down ass in Pittsburgh. I like it. Yeah, after he, it looked like he was really close to maybe joining the Vikings, and they decided that they're just going to stick with JJ McCarthy. And
It's interesting. I
yeah,
guess they believe in their guy. I would have thought that they would have.
yeah,
Honestly, I thought they were going to give the Seahawks quarterback one more year. I don't know why I can't think of his name right now, but just since McCarthy really didn't get his time, but I mean, it looks like they believe in him. Obviously, he's progressed well from his was it the ACL or
I
that he
don't
did tear in the
quite.
preseason? No, something with his knee. I don't know,
Yeah, think that sounds about right. Yeah.
but obviously they feel that he's in the right spot. Honestly, I would have thought Aaron Rodgers with those offensive weapons may have found one last spark. In Pittsburgh, I don't know. They definitely have the wide receivers now, but that offensive line, man, he may not make it through the year. He's become injury prone as of late, so yikes.
Yeah, that's we'll see how he does in that offense there. It just doesn't seem like a fit for him, but who knows? Does have DK Metcalf and George Pickens there, so they got weapons.
They got weapons.
Not sure who they're rolling with at running back now that Najee Harris is gone, and I don't know if
Mhm.
Warren's still there or not, but I wish them all the bad luck. Uh, yeah, and as far as guys still out there, some names: Russell Douglas, Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, Santi Samuel Jr. Of course, you mentioned Rodgers. Russell Wilson's still without a team. Uh, as far as, and then a lot of few veteran like defensive linemen like Calais Campbell, Darius Smith, Matthew Judon. So yeah, there's still a few known names out there.
Right.
that'll find their
Where's
teams at some point.
has I can't think of his name. He just got cut from the Bills. Miller, Von Miller.
Von Miller,
Has he
I
signed
believe.
anywhere?
No, I believe he's still a free agent as
He's
well.
still out there. I know he got cut, and then they.
Yeah, he is.
So
Yeah,
that'd be
him.
interesting. I know he's had his injuries as of late, but man, I still think if in the right spot, he could still definitely be a
No, for sure. He could, you maybe use him as a situational pass rusher or something like that. But he's
right.
definitely he's still got he had six this year. So he's not going to be a guy that leads your team in sacks. You don't want to depend on him
Right.
to be your main source
Be
of a
there.
pass rush. But
Right.
he could, you get him on a reasonable veteran contract, he can be a really good piece
He
to
can
a
be a
contending
right.
team. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's kind of kind of the story with guys like him and those other three I mentioned. Zadarius Smith, Matthew Judon. They're both edge rushers,
Hmm.
almost the same thing. They might not
Right.
have it every week now, but they have it enough.
They have it enough for it, yeah.
Yeah,
In the right situation, phenomenal. Yeah, but you're not putting them down three down situations, multiple series in
yeah,
a row type guys. You might
exactly.
bring him
Yeah,
in on third down, but
no, yeah.
mm,
There's a saying in soccer that form is temporary, class is permanent, and basically what it means is
mhm.
your level of play might like dip. So
And change.
yeah, you may get hot, might get cold, it might wear off, but you're still in your heart. You're still, if you're a great player, you're still a great player until you
Still,
retire. You
I
just
was
don't
exactly.
you show less flashes
May
of it,
not be
maybe, but yeah,
right, but you still have the same form, the same
yeah,
greatness. It's just
yeah,
that your
yeah,
body may not be as
yeah, yeah.
right.
But yeah, so those are the kind of guys that start getting signed a little later in spring camp here.
All right, I think people kind of want to just see. Yeah, the big thing too is the money. 'Cause you
Yeah,
don't want to
absolutely.
overspend on that type of guy. Because obviously they're not at that level that they made him elite, but they still have a certain prestige. Just makes them interesting, and maybe even some of those guys don't even get signed till mid-season. Who knows?
Yeah.
Depending on what people need.
Yeah, exactly. As far as the rest of the sports world, baseball sort of officially kicked off. The Dodgers and Cubs played that series in
And
Tokyo. The Dodgers took both
actually,
of them. Yeah.
yeah, they'll start with Thursday.
Yeah, and then the rest of the league starts Thursday, opening day. Let's see some highlights. What your Yankees? Who do you guys have? The Brewers. You actually kick off opening day at 2 o'clock Central Time.
Right.
Let's see. My Braves visit the Padres. Let's see some other. Baltimore and Toronto was a notable series there. Let's see. Cleveland, KC.
But I've always enjoyed. It's just even though it's long term, it doesn't mean a lot. But just because you have a 162 game season, it's just something I don't know, something great about opening day.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. Yeah. It's one of those special days. Yeah. Especially all the teams that play afternoon games. You only got a couple of night
Right.
games. So yeah, it's cool to see. Um, I like it this year that a lot of teams are starting on Thursday. And then there seems to be still a lot playing Friday. I know a lot of teams that think they'll play Thursday and not play Friday, and then go into
Right. Play the weekend.
yeah. But looks like still a decent schedule Friday.
Absolutely.
Uh, yeah. Other than that, I don't think there have been no major spring training injuries or anything like that.
Right.
No big, no big trades. A couple of little trades here and there. Um, but yeah, is there anything else in the world of sports you want to touch on this week?
No, I think pretty much covered most of it there. Just very tournament heavy for myself, as I'm sure it is for most sports fans this type of year. And we're Should have a great second weekend. Maybe some of the uh, excitement, like you said, didn't see this weekend. We'll see next weekend. I mean, we got some decent games, but I think we're on the verge of some top tier games next weekend. So
Yeah.
Michigan State just punched their ticket there.
So yeah, it will be
8 point
an.
win over the Lobos there. An all power four conference. I mean, I'm just trying to think. That's been a while since we've had an all power four
Mm-hmm.
conference. No mid majors in the Sweet 16. I mean, it was heck. It was just 2 years ago when it was the Final Four was full of mid majors. I
Yeah.
think we had FAU, San Diego
FAU
State.
State and
I mean, Miami seems like a mid-major. I mean, of course, you're in the ACC, but just lack of history per se. But yeah, probably one of the weirdest Final Fours we've probably ever seen in our lives.
yeah, no, for sure that was a weird Final Four. Of course, it makes Bama fans everywhere just kick something
Sick.
because that was the year, the number one overall
That
seed.
was
That
supposed to
yeah.
be our year,
If you
and
know,
yeah,
maybe if Brandon Miller isn't hurt, maybe things go different. But
yeah,
I think his little injury affected him more than maybe we
they
realize.
ever let on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was way worse
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, he was off
Mm-hmm.
badly.
Yeah.
But that Sweet 16 game against San Diego State, man, we
Mm.
couldn't hit. Nobody could shoot.
Yeah, I was about to say the whole team went cold there. So and
Yeah.
that we talked about earlier.
Uh,
We did a good job of not letting St. Mary's dictate that game. You mentioned that San Diego State game.
exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what
Yeah.
they did. They
Yeah. Forced
forced
us
us.
into half court offense and
Yeah,
running down the shot clock, and that's not our game at all. So
no, it
we
did
got
not
away from
work.
that today, and I think yeah, we'll be in for a track meet. Was that Thursday or is that Thursday
They
night?
it doesn't appear like
Is
they've
that
announced yet.
they haven't
Everything,
announced it yet?
yeah, everything
Okay.
still says TBD on the schedule. It looks like here. I think maybe they wait
Well,
for it
this
to.
is yeah. See how this
Yeah, and right
shakes
now,
out, but I mean. I guess the biggest thing going on right now is Richmond giving UCLA all they want to start the second half. They're tied at
oh, there you
36
go.
going into second half
Ooh, there you
on the
go.
women's side. So that
Yeah,
would
the
be crazy.
number one overall seed on the
Overall,
women's
number
side. Yeah,
one
tied at half.
on the
Hey,
red.
uh,
Thanks.
all right then, Greg. What has been done up real good for you this week?
I guess just the whole. I think the whole tournament. It's just that time of the year, and maybe not as many upsets and stuff, but I mean, you still just the excitement you get, and had some decent playing games even. So I mean, I was impressed with that. These two of them were decent ones there. Alabama State game was excellent with that pass, and then the Texas Xavier game was excellent. And then we've had some good games, but yeah, I mean, overall just you know, it's just. I would say probably in the American sports, probably definitely my favorite way to crown the champion. Just the NCAA tournament.
No, yeah, for sure. There's something special
Just some
about it.
magic to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I will pretty much piggyback off that, and I will say, as a result, I'll just say, being able to work from home, is great this time
Yeah.
of year. Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely.
Best you can ask for this time of year to be able, even if you're
Yeah.
sending emails or dealing with spreadsheets, or whatever, it's still be able to have that game
Right.
on the background right there.
Oh, absolutely.
Even though, like you said, like we said, it wasn't the greatest. Oh, nice shot there. Wasn't the greatest first
Right.
couple days that
But
we've ever seen, but it's still it's still like it's just a different. It's a
still,
special.
March.
Yeah,
It's a special feeling to it. I mean, we got
yeah.
some decent games, and long term, and maybe not getting those upsets that we've come accustomed to, man, just makes that second weekend even that much bigger. Because
Yeah.
all eyes will definitely be on them. I mean, you got to think. I mean, all the top. I'm trying to think. Are all the top four seeds in the turn like in every region? Is that outside of St. John's? Like most everybody's around.
Yeah.
So
Let's see. Of course, let's see. A&M was a 4 seed, they're out, but it's 5 seed
Yeah,
Michigan that knocked them out. So,
right. So that's
same
not that
same
much.
thing
I
here in
mean,
this last
equal.
game.
It was pretty much equal.
Arizona's up 9. They're the 4 seed, but
Yeah.
if Oregon wins, that's equal. Let's see, BYU's a 6 seed in there. Ole Miss is a 6 seed in
Okay.
there.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Yeah.
then, of
Got
course, like you
got a
said,
few.
Arkansas. But
But I
yeah.
mean, still very top heavy, all power teams. I mean, should have some excellent. I would think some just excellent
Yeah,
games in both the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight. I mean,
yeah, the lowest seed is the 10 in Arkansas, and they certainly have at times this
have
year,
playing far above a 10
played far above a
as of
10, yeah.
late, anyway.
And that's one of those things, too, when you get in. If you're looking at Florida, if you get by Maryland, Texas Tech may be the higher seed and maybe the better team, but you're almost kind of wanting to see them instead of Arkansas, a team that's familiar with you because, you get those conference games going,
Mhm.
anything can happen.
Yeah, they know everything about you.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I want to play. I don't know. Texas Tech is a team. They're not the prettiest. They don't have necessarily the biggest stars.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. There's something about Texas Tech. They're well coached.
Yes.
They're very. They're not going to make many mistakes.
Yeah, they've been a
Um,
consistently disciplined. They played their game team since Bobby Knight was there. Since he
yeah,
kind of really put
yeah.
that
They've
program on the
been
map.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been really consistent, and their coach now came from North Texas, and man, he really kept it going after Beard moved on to Austin. There, I think it might have been a year or two in between, but man, he really kept Tech in the spotlight because after Chris Beard left for Texas, I can only imagine what their fan base felt.
Yeah. Right. Oh. Yeah. It gets serious down there too. But
Yeah,
all right, and that does it for us, folks. We will
yeah,
come back at you next Sunday to recap. Hopefully Alabama will be back in the Final Four for the second straight
man, yeah. We'll,
year.
we'll know our
But
Final Four teams.
exactly, we'll know our Final Four teams. We'll look ahead to that.
Yeah,
We'll talk some, of course, men's, women's hoops, and if anything pops off in NBA or
we'll have,
NFL off season, and then of course
we'll
maybe
have that as well.
anything from opening day or first weekend of baseball.
Absolutely.
As always, thank you for listening. Check out all of the Alabama Take family of podcasts. You can find them on the alabamatake.com along with some good writings. Of course, on a sad note this week, we did lose one of our contributors to the Alabama Take. Young lady, you may know her from her Ren Reads columns, Lauren Beck. Lost her battle with leukemia this week. So, our thoughts go out to her family,
Absolutely.
all her
It's
loved
tough.
ones. But yeah, if you are in the books and stuff, go back, find her stuff on the alabamatech.com. A lot of good book. You can tell she really loved reading. That showed through in her
Absolutely.
writings. But yeah, as always, subscribe, like, rate, all that good stuff. Tell your friends, tell your rich friends about us. And keep it done up real good yourselves out there, folks. Greg, buddy, we'll see you next week.
Yep.